Hello and welcome to another review here at Frontline Model Hobbies, and I think you might have already seen the elephant in the room. Yes, we have the 30-second Henschel Hs129B-3 version by Zoukei Mura. You could just imagine the German ground crew going, "We need a bigger gun. What about that 75mm over there? Yeah, that'll do. Look at the..." Anyway, let's have a look inside the box, shall we? Okay, so before we look inside the box, I have got a slight confession to make. I've already looked inside the box. Yes, I know, thank you very much for shouting at the back. Thank you. Yes, I couldn't resist. Reason being is because I like doing Luftwaffe aircraft, and especially in 32nd or 48th. So this is my bag, so to speak. But either way, moving on. Now, we all do the same thing. We always look at the box art and we get that warm, fuzzy feeling down below. Feels like our love spuds is getting tickled by somebody. Ooh,
Richie, no time for crap double entendres.
But either way, this time I'm not. I am, but I'm not. And the reason being is because I think the box art is slightly wrong. I probably would have had the airframe or the aircraft wings that way, diving down this way, firing its cannon with a few behind it in a winter whitewash, and a bit more about the scheme later. You'll see what I'm on about there. But either way, yeah, I still think it's good, but it's not awesome. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves, because I'm going to try and get inside this box. And there we go. So you're greeted by another box. And then me struggling to try and get it in. So, again, innuendo time. It's not packed, let's face it, so it's not sort of brimming. One thing I did notice is that you don't get the clear sprues, say the clear fuselage parts and the wings and this, that and the other that you got with the Toryu. So that might be a bit of a downside if you were expecting that, but either way. So as you can see, a few bags here and there of all your bits and bobs. You've got the engines and everything, so at least you can do all the engines. Your bombs, if it did carry them. Even though it's got a big cannon, it's got, obviously you can see the wing sections there, but we'll see that in a minute. Even more parts, so on and so forth. So you do get quite a lot of plastic for your money. Got the wing section, and you got your very nice instruction booklet, which we'll have a look in a minute. Okay, so I do like Zoukei Mura's way of doing the front covers on these, so it looks like a document from the Luftwaffe from 1943. I'm not surprised it doesn't have like Göring's signature on there and a Waffenham stamp or whatever you're saying, or top secret, that would have been cool. But either way, so over the page, usual Zoukei Mura, bit of blurb about the airframe and the cannon and this, that and the other, and the same about the kit on the other page, and probably a bit more about the airframe. But either way, over the page, you've got, again, like I did with the F4G Phantom, you've got the colour call-outs by Vallejo. And then you're straight into, uncharacteristically, into the engine, which normally you do in the cockpit for an aircraft. But either way, they've started off with the engine. And one thing to note is that they've put the pistons in there, which I think is a bit of a gimmick. So you're never going to see them anyway for a month of Sundays. But either way, I am going to semi-gloss over these, because if you've got the B2R3 version, or you've seen a lot of those instructions or reviews, probably 95% of this set of instructions is the same, with the exception of probably the gun and the deletion of the other guns. But anyway, as you can see from the engine, it's very comprehensive as it goes through. It's all complete, which then I do like, where it shows you the actual kit parts going together rather than sort of a CAD work or whatever. And you've got a stand, so I don't know if you get two of these, but it is nice and inclusive for that. Be nice to do that as a diorama. So moving on, going straight into the cockpit, and again, you've probably seen this already, but You probably haven't, because it had, I think, 20mm cannons in the nose, around the side of the cockpit, I'm guessing, and they're deleted out because of the big cannon. So I'm not seeing the original instructions, but it might have been in there, I don't know. The other downside is that it doesn't come with seatbelts. Boo! For the price you're paying, at least you'd think you'd come with seatbelts, but it doesn't come with them, so you have to go and get them. Next, you go into the Rumpf, which I do think it's German for fuselage. I've not actually looked that up, but either way, putting all the fuselage segments together. You've got all the bulkheads, the rear tail wheel segments. You're putting the fuselage halves together, the tail on, which would be a nice diorama with that separate if it's going to get fixed or whatever. Putting the wings on, putting all that together, and then you're finally putting the wing outer sections on there. Literally putting the landing gear on, which is, I'm wondering if you can have that as a separate fit. And then it's just a case of gluing all the outer segments on there and carrying on going. And literally it goes on for just forever, but every now and again you get a little bit of, you know, this is what it should look like when it's on. Putting the cowlings on, which is 2 halves. There's no way to show, you'd have to cut it apart from this and the other to show the engines, so I'm not quite sure how that would work. And then you're putting the horizontal stabilizers on and making sure you've got the right diagonal for the, or angle of attack of the landing gear. Then it's the final outfitting, so you're putting on the ailerons, elevators, rudders, flaps, and usual bits and bobs. And then you're into the bit that I'm really excited about, is the cannon. So you've got this sort of magazine system. It's a 75mm cannon and it only carried 12 rounds. So I'm guessing obviously it was slow firing cannon, but I'm guessing one of these shells would take out a tank from the top, with it being thin armour. And that's what it looks like when it's on. And again, boo, hiss. Yeah, it's 2.5 cannon. It would have been nice to have a metal one there. Without looking at the parts, I'm not quite sure how this is all set up, but you need a metal one. You can't not. Putting it all together, and then you've put in this magazine system in the bottom. Again, it would look cool with somebody shoving that in. And, oh god, innuendos. And having that as a diorama, but I'm going to gloss over that. And again, the same with not having that pod on. You can have the pod off and somebody servicing the bottom of the cannon. That would be really cool. Putting the rest of the bits and bobs for the cannon, gun sight and everything, which is on the outside of the cockpit, not on the inside. Putting the props on and everything, and then that is what it looks like when it's done. Here's to the downside. Or at least I think it's the downside anyway. Yes, you do get markings, but you only get one. You only get one set of markings for this kit. So it's, I'm thinking it's D. Is it Delta? Yeah, Delta Oscar X-Ray Golf. This is the version that you get. Would have been nice to have this version, which is Hasegawa's boxing. Whether if that was a scheme or not, but I don't care. It looks cool. So any aftermarket decals I think will be on the way. And that is that. So now on to the decals, and they have been printed by Cartograph and they've been done by Rado Bizan, as you can see there. I do apologise if I've just butchered your name, but either way. One thing to know is you do get, if it zooms in, I'll zoom it in from there, a really nice instrument panel and dials and what have you. So with the cockpit quite open, they look quite cool, really nice, and you don't need to paint it, which is a good thing. The actual decals are nice and thin, the swastikas are split, but the writing is legible, and I can't speak German, but if any German speakers want to say or want to tell us if there's anything misspelt, then please do so in the comments below. But they look cool. Alrighty then, so onto the sprues. So Sprue A, as you can see there, is the fuselage halves and a few other bits and bobs for the airframe. One thing to note is, where's all the rivets gone? So the panel lines will look alright. They're a bit ever so slightly trenchy, but Again, there's no rivets, but the detail is crisp. There's no flash on there whatsoever. On the inside, you do have all the ribs there, but you do have a lot of injection pin marks, which is a bit of a downside really, especially with these holes here, as you can see, on both sides. So you are going to see those rivets, even not rivets, injection pin marks. So yeah, not a great start to be honest with you, but still, all the same, it does look pretty good. So I'm a bit sort of mixed bag on that one, to be honest with you. So moving neatly on to Sprue B, and obviously you've got the rest of the airframe parts, which is the wings. So the inner and the outer parts of the wings, bottom and top halves. And yeah, again, you don't get any rivets on there. I suppose you could add them yourself if it had them. The other thing is, sometimes I don't get it why it's so modular, why you have to glue that to that on the rib detail and the all the detail that comes out from the wing. I'm hoping this join is all right with this one because of the panels there, or the strengthening plates or whatever, but I'm thinking the panels. Yeah, I'm wondering why that's the case. And yeah, I mean, it's all right, don't get me wrong. It's wings, so you can't go wrong with that, to be honest with you. Okay, so Sprue K, as you can see, has got all the internal wing structure and the fuel tanks. So the fuel tanks themselves are pretty good out of the box. I can't see really much wrong with them. You know, you're not going to see these anyway if you don't open the panels, so I personally won't stick them in. The actual wing structure itself might be missing some lightning holes here and there, so if you really wanted these open and make it look more realistic, I don't think it will be, and these will be very hard to draw all this out, but either way, don't forget to take all these out as well. They're just to strengthen everything up. Again, if you're not going to actually see them and you're not going to open it up, I'd actually probably leave them in, actually. Keep it even stronger. Not only that, don't forget to take out the seam line that is around absolutely everything on the inside. So if you are opening it up, you are going to be there for a while cleaning everything up. That's the only downside, but not too bad, to be honest with you, not too bad. Next, we've got Sprue F, so keeping with the airframe parts, and you've got the cowlings, as you can see there. So you got two sprues with this one, and I'm going to show you one for obvious reasons. From what I also see is that you get 3 different flavours of cowling with the different slots. So you've got 2 holes there and you've only got 1 there. And also, I'm wondering if, and I'm thinking that that might be the oil cooler intake there, or where have you. You've got a round version there and you've got a square one there. So you've got different versions that you can do, not maybe just the B3 version. Again, I'm not genned up on the intakes or the cowlings. The only downside with this sprue is that, and it's going to be a recurring theme in this one, injection pin marks. And as you can see, they are bloody everywhere, as you can see. So if you've got these open and you have got a seam line there on the inside, so I'm guessing you might be able to cut through there and have it open in a fashion or in the way. So if you do, you're going to have to sand them down. That's the only downside with that one. Staying with the engines, we've got Sprue E, and again we've got 2 sprues of this one. And as you can see, the detail itself is pretty good. Very nice and crisp, as you can see, all the way on every single part. There's no flash, no problems there. Some parts are only held on by 1 sprue gate, which is pretty good. The only downside is, or the only thing that I can think of that is a bit of a waste of time, is these pistons. I can't see why you put them in there. Just seems a waste of design and a waste of time. And also, again, with the same theme of injection pin marks, there's 1 there. So yeah, oh well. Next up, we've got Sprue L, And I thought I'd show you this one because it shows you all the parts, or majority of the parts, for the inside of the rear part of the fuselage. Again, like the wings, you've got the rear fuel tank that sits behind the cockpit, and the floor, which I'm just touching there, just feeling. And that sits on there. On the back side, that is part of the bomb bay, I'm guessing. So, nice bit of detail there. The only downside is, and you can see that, don't get me wrong, the details are pretty good. Everything's all where it should be, and there's no flash, no problems there whatsoever. It would be nice painted and weathered, and it will look pretty cool. The only downside is, most of these are going to be seen, and you've got the recurring theme of injection pin marks again on all the reverse parts of the bulkheads, which I've got detail there, so you are going to see it. So you're going to have to clean up every single one. But either way. Second to last sprue, we've got Sprue P, which I think is one of the most important sprues. And I don't know if you might have seen it already. I must admit it didn't take me long either. Is the massive cannon. And look at the size of that cannon, eh? Look at it. Go on. Measure it. Go on. But either way. All the holes for the flash suppressors are drilled out, which is nice. The only downside is it's 2 halves, so you are going to have a seam line going up and down either side of that. So I must admit, I'm going to be waiting for a master gun barrel set to come out for that. Also, which is nice, you do get every single shell, so you get all 12 of them, which are really nicely detailed, as you can see. And how they're mounted on the sprue is pretty good as well. And again, you got all the details there for the drum system, and also you get the breech. So this will look cool when painted and weathered, and on the airframe, whether it's a separate fit or wherever you do it as a diorama, would look amazing. Keeping with the gun, this is the outer shroud that protects all the workings, so yeah, nothing really major on this one, but it is 2 halves, so whether it might be a seam line going down there and you've got to clean it up, or whether it's an actual panel line, either or, do a bit of research and you might be able to find that out. But yeah, just thought I'd show you how deep, oh god, here we go again, but how big, oh, doesn't matter.
Is that it then?
Yeah.
Last but not least, I thought I'd show you the clear parts, because we can't go away from the aircraft kit without looking at the clear parts themselves. And as you can see, the actual clear parts, if I get them in some sort of light, there you go. There's no scratches on them whatsoever, and they are super clear, as you can see, and uber clear, amazingly clear. I'm finding it hard to find glass this clear whatsoever. Also, you have the instrument panels as a clear part, so I'm wondering if that decal goes on the back or whatever you, but they are pretty good out of the box as well. So that's the sprues. And there we have it. That is the review for the Zoukei Mura HS129B3 in 32nd scale. And let's face it, I don't think anybody's going to be building the resin one anytime soon. And yes, there was a resin one. Now, me personally, I think this one's a bit of a mixed bag. I think it's about 75–80% there. Still, some of the parts are a bit modular, like the wings. If there would have been one piece, I think that would have been a lot better. Not only that, the gun barrel is 2 halves and it's plastic. I would have liked to have seen a metal one. I probably would have paid probably a tenner, maybe 20 quid more to have a metal gun barrel, and at least some photo etch seat belts in there. Or, and this is what I don't get, is that they do the what do you call it, the pistons in there, and it's a bit of a gimmick where they could have done moulding in seat belts on the seat instead. So they could have saved that time and done something what you're going to see. So again, like I said, it's a bit of a mixed bag, and you do get, and one thing I forgot to mention is some masks for the canopy. So instead of seatbelts, they're giving you masks. So yeah, I won't pay full retail for this one. I'll probably knock it back about 10 or maybe 20 quid. But either way, so that is the review. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very shortly. Cheerio.